Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. My name is Mike, and together we are the sixth color of magic. And today we are here for Flavorful or Flavor Fail. And we are talking about Feldon of the Third Path. Now, to properly judge the flavor of this guy, first of all, I mean, look at how lovely the artwork is. This is a really nice looking piece of art. And that's actually what caught my eye at first, honestly. I was looking at this card today, and I guess I had forgotten about it when it came out in Commander, but we're talking about the 25th anniversary coming up, and this ties in really, really nicely because this is a cool card. Let's talk about the entire history here of Feldon. Well, a summary of his history. Basically, the first mention of Feldon was back in the day of Antiquities on Feldon's Cane, which was the artifact that you would sacrifice to be able to put your graveyard back into your deck. It was a really cheap way to get your entire graveyard back into your deck, and people really liked it. It was in a lot of people's decks. And other than, like, basically the flavor text just said that Feldon found the first one of these in, like, the Ronim Glaciers. And that's where Feldon grew up. He grew up at the foot of the Ronim Glaciers, basically. And digging around there, he found some really powerful artifacts. He found Feldon's Cane, but he also ended up finding the Golgothian Silex, which is actually what Urza ended up using to destroy Argoth. He used it to just ravage Argoth. And if you guys don't know what the Golgothian Silex is, it's a card from Antiquities that back in the day, in the first couple of Magic sets, they used to put in a set screw, basically. You know how they're color screws, like do this to blue creatures, do this to black lands, whatever, things like that? Well, they did ones for sets as well that would destroy all the cards from a particular set. They did City of Brass for Arabian Nights, they did Golgothian Silex for Antiquities, and they did the Apocalypse Chime for Homelands. And then they discontinued that concept. They didn't make more wipe out everything from a particular expansion card until they did something, I think they did an uncard that did it. But anyways, so you've got this situation where Feldon, basically, he's called Feldon of the Third Path. And the reason for that is, back in the day when Feldon existed, that's when the Brothers' Wars happened. And that's the original Planeswalker kind of wars, where basically Urza faced off against his brother Mishra over these ancient artifacts they had found. Mishra ended up dying as a result of the conflicts. Urza ended up setting off the Golgothian Silex and leveling Argoth. And at the same time, he ignited his Planeswalker Spark, and the two halves, the Weak Stone and the Power Stone, fused into his eye sockets. Like, it's just this epic sort of war between Urza and Mishra. Well, it had far-reaching consequences. And people who wanted nothing to do with either side, they started a group called the Third Path. So Feldon found his way amongst these scholars who were studying, like, a different way. And Urza and Mishra hadn't really tapped into, like, full magic. You know, they were artificers making artifacts, the same way that Feldon was an artificer who didn't really tap into like actual magic. Basically, at this point, everyone was just creating artifacts, right? So what happens was Feldon had found that Golgothian Silex, and he had fallen in love with a woman named Lauren. And this woman, they met, they were both part of the Third Path group. And what happened was Lauren was basically trying to courier the Golgothian Silex, this artifact of immense power, somewhere safe. But she was waylaid by Urza's apprentice. And Urza's apprentice ended up torturing her. And it was Urza's apprentice is Ashnod, in case you're wondering. At the time, was Ashnod. So Ashnod ended up torturing Lauren to get the secrets of the Silex from her, and took the Silex and delivered it basically. Urza ended up with the Silex and knowing how to use it. What happened to Lauren was, after Urza set off the Silex blast, then it leveled Argoth and it caused massive climate change. So because of her failing health based on being tortured previously and the cooling, awful, harsh climate, she ended up dying. And Feldon became obsessed. When the Brothers' War was happening, Feldon saw Hercule use magic to basically unsummon all the artifact creations from existence. Just made all the artifact warriors disappear with a Hercule's recall, essentially, right? So Feldon saw the power of this magic and wanted to find a way to bring Lauren back to him. So he started to study, like, how to infuse actual red magic into artifacts, and he figured out a way to build an automaton version of Lauren, I should say. So he made a version of his wife that was like a robot, essentially, automaton. But after a bit, he realized it was just a hollow imitation, and he removed the power stone that was giving it life, and now basically it just stands over his wife's grave as a sentinel to his love for her. But he didn't end there. He decided that creating a pale imitation was not good enough for him. So he started, because he could only tap into red mana, he decided to look into what other wizards could do for him. So the first thing he did was he went to like a green hedge mage who told him that the green hedge mage could only manipulate pre-existing, currently alive forms. Like he can only deal with life that is alive. But then directed him to a sorceress who specialized in blue magic. So Feldon ends up seeing this sorceress who specializes in blue magic, but all she can do is create illusions of Lauren. It's not the real thing, it's just, like an illusionary creature, essentially. So again, Feldon, heartbroken, continues on his quest to figure out how he can get his wife back. And that's when he comes across a black mage. And this black mage agrees, in exchange for Feldon's cane, to teach him how he can bring his wife back to life. So Feldon does the deal, learns the magic, doesn't realize what he's doing, zombifies his wife, brings her back as a zombie. But without even looking at her, he realizes what he's done and unsummons her out of existence because he can't handle what he's done. So then he moves on to talking to someone who masters white magic. And this person explains to him that there is no magic that can bring somebody back. All it does is create reflections of people. And so he teaches Feldon how he can pull a reflection of Lauren from his own memories. And then Feldon, at that point, is able to gain closure by saying what he needed to say to his wife. So I mean, this is all just, again, remember, this is all just from a character who originally was just Feldon's Cane, just an artifact shuffle card. And they have all this really cool, heartbreaking backstory for this guy. And when you look at the card, did they tie it all together? Does he feel like Feldon of the Third Path? Let's take a look. His ability, 1 red, 2 colorless. Tap him. Put a token onto the battlefield that is a copy of target creature card in your graveyard, except it's an artifact addition to its other types. It gains haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Now that is a home run in terms of flavor. That is how you make a creature ability that ties in thematically exactly what this guy is. Think about it. If his dead wife represented a creature card in the graveyard, he is making a token copy of it, so it's not the real thing, and it only exists for a turn because he can't handle. It's like, no, this is just a pale imitation, and he depowers them. And then the flavor text, she will come back to me. Oh my god, guys. 6 words. There's so much power there. When I saw this card, I just sat there just staring at it. And I mean, I had a bit of a reaction to it when it came out in Commander. But I didn't really, because there were so many cards to look at, I did not look at this card in a void. And oh my god, in terms of flavor, holy Christ, the effort that they put into this. And the artwork that was done for it as well. It is so good. Like, look at him. He's just staring there. He's got his wife's head in his hand, and he's full of thought, just staring at it. What's he doing? Is he getting ready to assemble her? Has he disassembled her? What is exactly going on in this scene? Man, Feldon of the Third Path is one of the most flavorful magic cards in existence. They tied all of his history, all of that anguish, all of it together into this one perfect little card. Oh my god, so good. So, my friends, thank you for tuning in and checking this out. Let me know what you guys think of Feldon of the Third Path. For me, it's an absolute home run, and we will talk to you next time.